And we're going to continue diving into the ecstatic pastimes of Srimati Kunti Devi, a very, very important devotee in our line, in our disciplic succession. Although she's not in the disciplic succession formally, nonetheless, she conveys the conclusion of the disciplic succession. And that's why she is an important figure there. That's actually Prabhupada sometimes calls it disciplic succession. He calls it disciplic conclusion. And just before that, I thought maybe we can chant Jarada Madhava. Hare Krishna. How is everybody today? Hope you're ecstatic as usual, maybe a bit more. I don't know. So, yeah, usually in the mornings we have different reading programs. Ordinarily we would go through the Srimad Bhagavatam, the second canto, 6th chapter. But I kind of like to go through specific topics, and we started reading the teachings of Queen Kunti, or prayers of Queen Kunti. That's the chapter, that's how it's entitled. There is a compilation book that was made by the devotees from compiled lectures and the verses themselves, that called Teachings of Queen Kunti. I highly recommend this one. And yeah, we would go and read from different verses. It's the first canto, 8th chapter, and verse number, let's see, which verse is it? I think 38, I'm not sure. It is. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Kevayam namarupabhyam yatubhi saha pandavaha bhavato darshanam yariri rishikanam ishvitaha ivishetoho. Translation: as the name and fame of a particular body is finished, of verse 38, first canto, 8th chapter, verse 38. As the name and fame of a particular body is finished with the disappearance of the living spirit, similarly, if you do not look upon us, all our fame and activities, along with the Pandavas and Yadus, will end at once. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Oh, actually, we read this one last time. I just remembered. So, 39. Neyam shubhishte tatra yetadim gandandara tvat pandira nikabati svalakshana vilakshitaham. O Gadadhar, Krishna, our kingdom is now being marked by the impressions of your feet, and therefore it appears beautiful. But when you leave, it will no longer be so. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. There are certain particular marks on the feet of the Lord which distinguish the Lord from others. The marks of flag, thunderbolt, and instrument to derive an elephant, umbrella, lotus disc, etc. are on the bottom of the Lord's feet. These marks are impressed upon the soft dust of the land where the Lord traverses. The land of Hastinapur was thus marked while Lord Shri Krishna was there with the Pandavas, and the kingdom of the Pandavas thus flourished by such auspicious signs. Kunti Devi pointed out these distinguished features and was afraid of ill luck in the absence of the Lord. Jai. Anyone would like to read the next verse?
Yes.
Verse 40.
Ime jana patas svaritaha supakva shadir virudaha
Vanadri Nadu Udanvato Eyanantante Tvavikshashataha.
All these cities and villages are flourishing in all respects because the herbs and grains are in abundance. The trees are full of fruits, the rivers are flowing, the hills are full of minerals, and the ocean's full of wealth. And this is all due to your glancing over them. Purport. Human prosperity flourishes by natural gifts and not by gigantic industrial enterprises. The gigantic industrial enterprises are products of godless civilization, and they cause the destruction of the noble aims of human life. The more we go on increasing such troublesome industries to squeeze out the vital energy of the human being, the more there will be unrest and dissatisfaction of the people in general. Although a few only can live lavishly by exploitation. The natural gifts such as grains and vegetables, fruits, rivers, the hills, and hills of jewels and minerals, and the seas full of pearls are supplied by the order of the Supreme. And as he desires, material nature produces them in abundance or restricts them at times. The natural law is that the human being may take advantage of these godly gifts by nature and satisfactorily flourish on them without being captivated by the exploitative motive of lording it over material nature. The more we attempt to exploit material nature according to our whims of enjoyment, the more we shall become entrapped by the reaction of such exploitative attempts. If we have sufficient grains, fruits, vegetables, and herbs, then what is the necessity of running a slaughterhouse and killing poor animals? A man need not kill an animal if he has sufficient grain and vegetable to eat. The flow of the river waters fertilizes the fields, and there is more than what we need. Minerals are produced in the hills and jewels in the ocean. If the human civilization has sufficient grains, minerals, jewels, water, milk, etc., then why should it hanker after terrible industrial enterprises at the cost of the labor of some unfortunate men? But all these natural gifts are dependent on the mercy of the Lord. What we need, therefore, is to be obedient to the laws of the Lord and achieve the perfection of human life by devotional service. The indications by Kunti Devi are just to the point. She desires that God's mercy be bestowed upon them so that natural prosperity be maintained by His grace.
When I cook, I listen usually to Prabhupada's lectures on this chapter, and the book that I mentioned, Teachings of Kunti, is like a combination of both the verses and the lectures. And when Prabhupada gives a class about this verse, it goes deeper and deeper. Like it's a relatively short purport compared to like all the topics Prabhupada touches, like Varnashram, industrial life, how hellish is industrial life, what is natural life, why is it natural, what is good about it, how to get there, how not to exploit nature, who exploits. It's like so many things that we can extrapolate on, and Prabhupada does that in the class about this verse. I highly recommend to hear Prabhupada's class about it. And from what I remember, he starts like the class from 5,000 years ago. There was no industry and there was no need for industry. And there was so much wealth. Like we hear from the Mahabharata and in the Bhagavad Gita itself, Arjuna is addressed there as the Dhananjaya. Dhananjaya, anyone knows the meaning of the word, the name, the Dhananjaya of Arjuna? Dhananjaya means conqueror of wealth, specifically because when the Rajasuya sacrifice was performed by Yudhishthir, they needed gold, and they ran out of gold. I mean, they didn't run out of gold, but all the gold was in the recycle bin. In the previous
war,
it was I don't know on what it was spent, but it was just in the recycle bin, and they didn't have any gold for a sacrifice. So Arjuna, he was asked to do something unconstitutional, like recycle the gold, because in the previous 5,000 years ago, there was no need to recycle gold. There was no need to recycle pretty much anything, because recycling was part of natural course of activities, natural course of living. People never thought about it. Like they would wear, the Brahmanas, for example, they would wear cloth, and they will not wash the cloth. They would just get rid of it after one day of wearing. They would have a cloth and get rid of it. And why? Because they will give it to the other people. They will distribute it immediately. The rich people, they would eat from golden utensils, and they would get rid of these golden utensils in the same time. They will cook in golden pots or whatever, and they will get rid of them after they cook in them once. And the distribution of wealth like this was very nicely adjusted. So no one was really envious of each other or whatever, because everything was recycled all the time. Not this plastic recycling. Like, who's gonna be happy if I give him, like, sometimes I laugh, like this, I don't know, frame or case of the Kindle is like, it's written somewhere, oh, it's recycled plastic or paper or toilet paper. Like, why would I like to have something from recycled toilet paper or whatever? So, you know, in the previous ages, the wealth was so spread out, was so equally in disposition to everyone, that there was no need of thinking about this, like recycling pattern, recycling thing. And yeah, they would eat from golden utensils. And why I'm mentioning that, because it shows how opulent was the society 5,000 years ago, because they recognized real wealth. And what is that real wealth? Kunti, she specifies in the verse, and this was all due to your glancing over them. Everyone were aware of the potency of God, that without God, nothing will flourish, nothing will be prosperous. And now we can see there's a seemingly shortage of diamonds, of minerals, of this natural production, because yeah, the mercy of God is withdrawn to a certain extent. But if we get in touch with that mercy, there's no need of industry. There's no need of, like I read in the news, I think yesterday, or that the industrials and I think Trump is fighting now. So they don't close the slaughterhouses. We need meat so people don't starve. And what's going to happen? People are not going to have any meat to eat. And simultaneously, many people wake up and they understand, oh my God, all the problems because of the stupid meat in the slaughterhouses. So let's support the quarantine. Let's support, like, that's actually, the vegan revolution and all these things that were kind of bringing up slowly into, like, settle the equation to, like, some sanity. They suddenly come out, and the quarantine serves it very nicely, right? The meat industry is practically stopped because they discovered that the disease originates in slaughterhouses. Just like any other pandemic, it started from mass production of animals, or even vegetables, right? This gluten thing, I heard it's because of this mass production of one specific grain, and then it creates a problem. So anything on mass production I see that as a block in our spiritual development, because no one is actually taught how to take responsibility of his own production. Like in the Vedic culture, everyone will have their own field, their own cow, their family, and they would live happily ever after. And now, you have an industry, and everyone just taught how to, go to work in a job they don't like, get something which is called money, which is nothing but paper, to reevaluate their status, and then to go to this supermarket and buy things that not good for them at all. Completely like a detached society from, not in a good sense detached, but detached, because many times, like yesterday, I think we mentioned how important it is to be detached. And no, like, this is a bad detachment. This is a bad detachment because we detached from our real constitutional position here, even materially. Even materially, people like, they don't understand, they don't know, like, for example, that milk is the most nutritious foodstuff in the whole universe. It's absolutely a necessary ingredient in human development, because it develops the brain functions. But because they detach from that, they detach from actually the function of how to consume milk by offering it to Krishna, then it creates so many problems. I highlighted this portion actually that kind of exemplifies that. The more we go on increasing such trouble industries to squeeze the vital energy of the human being, like this combination of these four words, to squeeze the vital energy, of the human being. It's so compassionate from Prabhupada to put it like that, to wake us up. Come on, wake up, you squeezed, not just, okay, let's put aside spiritually, okay, spiritually, let's say, okay, spiritually there's nothing, we're just trying to enjoy here in the material world, but even that, like, you cannot enjoy here, you being literally squeezed every sunset and every sundown, every sunrise, you're being squeezed from the vital force of being a man, of being a woman, of being a prosperous living entity in this material world. And yeah, like Krishna says, right, I'm the ability in man. I'm from amongst women, I'm patience, and we can sort of introspectively and objectively observe and see how both men, women, other living entities, they're bereft from these qualities that are given to us by God. This is not, I don't take it like ordinary that God says, I'm ability in man, or I'm a patience, and I'm fine amongst women, I'm fine speech, patience, what else is there? I forgot, sorry. Don't remember that verse by heart. But yeah, we practically bereft of these things, and yeah. Fayan, you wanted to say something? No? Okay. I scared her. Oh my God. So, yes, Hare Krishna. I kind of took too much time to brag. But if anyone would like to say something about this verse, it's so dense with contemplative material for us, and an inspiration to nourish our community, nourish our society, nourish ourselves, to get attached to the even materially, the real flow in our life that will, just make everything better. Hare Krishna. Yes, Kim, please.
Hi. I agree with you. This whole purport is so wonderful. And I think back, like, it's so timely now. Like, I think back to when he wrote it, we hadn't even damaged the planet through exploitation, like now is so visible. And then I go back to this pandemic where we're giving the planet such a rest just for such a short time, and we can't exploit it. We're being forced into not exploiting it for a few months, and it's having such wonderful effects.
Yeah.
I'm really actually so grateful for that. And then the other thing I found interesting in this verse was how he says exploitation can, although a few can live lavishly through exploitation, but the whole planet exploiting like it's doing is destroying it. And I just read an article how we've been able to, we're lowering the carbon emissions just in these few months, in a way that we wouldn't think could be done. Well, couldn't be done without. Huh?
I heard it's down in 1,200%.
Yeah. And before this, like that young girl who won the Nobel Prize last year, she just wanted the smallest amounts, she's suggesting some small things we could do really, and we couldn't even do that, and we're at a critical mass here, but the pandemic. But anyway, it kind of brings back to this purport and how important, if we could live like this, basically we could save our planet. But, It
Yeah.
seems so hard to imagine at this point that that the planet would take these,
Yeah.
on its own, take these, advice. But anyway, that's what this. So it's so timely right now, really.
Yeah.
And that's all.
I mean, yeah, of course, there is an important notion property addresses here. Like we should be conscious of Bhumi, the Mother Earth. But at the same time, not that Mother Earth really needs us. We are under her protection now. If we do something wrong, for 10,000 years, 20,000 years, they're going to be like a seemingly unadjustable condition for us to sustain ourselves normally. And that's actually what's going to be in Kali Yuga. In 10,000 years, the condition will be really severe. The sun gonna increase its heat in 2,000 times. People gonna shrink. They're gonna be ugly. They're gonna eat each other. It's all there. It's gonna be there already. But it's not that Mother Earth, she just withdraws and she goes and she waits for us to get sober. But it's like, I think that's what many people they don't get. Like, it's not even about saving the planet. It's saving us. We gonna suffer like anything by not living like human beings, at least. Not even as like devotees or like spirit souls. Just like as a like the Vaishnav, Vedic culture means a culture for just conscious living, like conscious human beings that understand their like natural needs, the needs of like the planet, the needs of the other living entities, and they live in how's it called, symbiosis. They live in like symbiosis. Yeah, because after all, like, we're gonna suffer. Like in 1 million years, who's gonna remember that there was a pandemic, or that the tar sands were like excavated, and like some like I don't know, 1 million people got cancer because of that. It's all gonna be forgotten. United States of America, Mother Earth, she just laughs, like, oh my God, these fools, they causing themselves suffering, But anyways, let them do that. Let them play, and we're killing ourselves ultimately. That's what we do. We're killing ourselves.
Yes, I completely agree with what you're saying. Yeah. Thank you.
So yeah, we can read the next one. Yeah, if no one else would like to share or emphasize any specific point. I remember another thing about the jewels that there's in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada, later in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada explains how jewels are created, and it's quite interesting. It's like a specific constellation of the stars, and there is rain, and from that rain, jewels they appear, or pearls. And if someone needs money, he just dives into the ocean and he gets pearls and he sells them for $10,000. Right? No need of like industry. You just get something shiny and sell it. Or
he was saying it was like specific yagya or something, or
specific, like it's a combination of an auspicious moment in the constellation in the stars, and rain, just rainfall. And yeah, now I heard it's like a very inauspicious constellation. So like, no wonder all these things are happening. Like even rain. Like, I think a few days ago, like a week ago, there was rain here, and it was just like a tornado. It wasn't nothing nourishing. Okay, so you can recite the Sanskrit together for the next verse. 41. Ata Vishvesha Vishvatman Vishvamurti Svakeshu Me Sneham Pasha Mimam Chinde Didam Pandeshu Vishnishu. Oh wow, this is a beautiful, beautiful verse. Kim, would you like to read, or I don't feel comfortable with the reading because of the font that is in your book?
Yeah, I've got two glasses on.
Oh my God! Yeah, so I can read. That's fine. Or our mysterious guest can read.
I can read it. I can read.
Okay, you can read. Okay.
Yeah.
I can also share this
Oh Lord.
that verse if it's gonna hurt you less to read. Would you like me
No,
to?
no, I
No?
can read. I mean, the English part, I can read it.
All right.
Like I said, I have two glasses on, two pairs of glasses, so I can see. Okay. So I'll start with the English, though. Okay.
Please.
O Lord of the universe, soul of the universe, O personality of the form of the universe, please therefore sever my tie of affection for my kinsmen, the Pandavas and the Vrishnis. A pure purport, a pure devotee of the Lord is ashamed to ask anything in self-interest from the Lord, but the householder are sometimes obliged to ask favors from the Lord, being bound by the tie of family affection. Srimati Kunti Devi was conscious of this fact, and therefore she prayed to the Lord to cut off the affectionate tie from her own kinsmen, the Pandavas and the Vrishnis. Is that how you say it? Vrishnis?
Vrishni. Yeah.
Vrishnis. Okay.
Vrishnis.
The Pandavas, Vrishnis. Okay. The Pandavas are
Krishna.
her own sons,
Same.
and the I'm sorry.
Krishnas.
Vrishnis
Mm-hmm.
are the members of her parental family. Krishna was equally related to both the families. Both the families required the Lord's help because both were dependent devotees of the Lord. Srimati Kunti Devi wished Sri Krishna to remain with her sons, the Pandavas, but by his doing so, her parental house would be bereft of the benefit. All these partialities troubled the mind of Kunti. Therefore, she desired to cut off the affectionate tie. A pure devotee cuts off the limited ties of affection for his family and widens his activities of devotional service for all forgotten souls. The typical example of the band of 6 Goswamis follow the path of Lord Chaitanya. The typical example is the band of 6 Goswamis who followed the path of Lord Chaitanya. All of them belong to the most enlightened and cultured rich families of the higher castes. But for the benefit of the mass of population, they left their comfortable homes and became mendicants. To cut off all family affection means to broaden the field of activities. Without doing this, no one can be qualified as a Brahmana, a king, a public leader, or a devotee of the Lord. The personality of Godhead as an ideal king showed this by example. Sri Ramachandra cut off his tie of affection for his beloved wife to manifest the qualities of an ideal king. Such personality.
Oh my God.
Such personality. What's the matter?
It just brings me back to when we were reading about Ramayana, because there was a discussion and like a disturbance that the devotees were sharing why Lord Ramachandra banished Sita. And I circulated a mail with some quotes, but I didn't include this one. And this really sheds nice light of why Ramachandra, Sita was pregnant and he banished her. And it's like really disturbing. So yeah, I just remember that and it's triggered me. So I'm gonna circulate this portion to it between the devotees that were at that festival. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Thank you. Such personalities as a Brahmana, a devotee, a king, or a public leader must be broad-minded in discharging their respective duties. Srimati Kunti Devi was conscious of this fact, and being weak, she prayed to be free from such bondage of family affection. The Lord is addressed as the Lord of the universe, or the Lord of the universal mind, indicating his all-powerful ability to cut the hard knot of family affection. Therefore, it is sometimes experienced that the Lord, out of his special affinity towards a weak devotee breaks the family affection by force of circumstance arranged by his all-powerful energy. By doing so, he causes the devotee to become completely dependent on him and thus clears the path for his going back to Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Atma Vishvesha Vishatman Vishwamurti Swakeshubhe Sneham Pashamimam Chinde Tirdam Pandeshu Vishnisu. O Lord of the universe, all of the universe, all personality of the form of the universe, please therefore sphere my tie of affection for my kinsmen, the Pandavas and the Vrishnis. Wow. Yeah, I'm always a bit confused in addressing what was Queen Kunti's inspiration for this. And it certainly was not spiritual selfishness as like some people see, spiritualists is very selfish, and like the whole notion of like self-care, and we have to take care of ourselves and be this and be that, and it has sometimes like a negative connotation, like selfishness. But Queen Kunti, she is actually ready to give up in one. That's how I perceive it. You can like reflect to me if you think I'm like getting it right or not, because I'm all the time, like I said, it's like a twist for me in this verse. Like, why she asks Krishna to cut off her tie of affection. It's not, from my understanding, it's not to be more spiritual, to be more detached, but it is actually to give them more opportunities for spiritual life, for self-realization, because she realizes that if she is attached to Srimati Kunti Devi wished Shri Krishna to remain with her sons and the Pandavas. Like she wanted the affection of Krishna to her sons, to the Pandavas. But by his doing so, her parental house will be bereft of the benefit. So if Krishna would remain with her house, with her like her close family, he would not be present with the Vrishnis. So she felt what I'm getting from that she was feeling a bit selfish, that Krishna is only with us. What about the Vrishnis? Why they should suffer without Krishna's presence? And this is kind of what I get from her, that she was put in between these two desires of having Krishna for herself and for her maternal and paternal house. And Prabhupada in the class, it says that a woman, she has a very strong attachment to her family ties, both from her father's side and both from her mother's side. Sorry, what am I saying? Both from her husband and both from her parents. I mean, I don't know. I'm not married. I wasn't never married, but I assume maybe it will be like similar. Like I don't know how much I'll be attached to my wife family sides. I think there is the whole notion of like mother-in-law, right? Like the husband and the mother-in-law, all the time, like in a fight, right? That's what I heard. I don't know. I don't have the experience. Maybe someone can reflect on that. But Kunti Devi, she is attached to both, and I think that's quite generally in the Vedic culture. The wife, she doesn't really separate from her. Like there's no really separate. There's a joint family, so the families, they join together and they live together, and the grandparents and the parents and the grandchildren and the uncles and the cousins, and the tie of affection is very, very strong. And that's kind of what I get from her, that she doesn't want to be like spiritually selfish. She doesn't want Krishna only for her benefit. And that's why she asks all these personalities trouble my mind. All these personalities, Prophet says, troubled the mind of Kunti, and therefore she desired to cut off the affectionate tie. Yeah, it's like really such a clear explanation of what is real detachment, what is, like, I find myself many times siding with the wrong side of like what is to detach and what is to really to attach myself, what to really attach myself to, what is the essence of my spiritual practice. And this chapter especially, I feel Prabhupada gives us such an opportunity to reconcile and re-coordinate ourselves and resuscitate. I don't know if you can use that word in this connection. And yeah, just reevaluate the whole situation without any preconceived notions, without any biases, without any role playing, and see what really is brings us closer to God, and what takes us a step further from God. Yeah, because like the paragraph after, Prabhupada puts the 6 Goswamis, and they left their family, they left their rich, like opulent position. They like did the opposite in a sense. They were like seemingly spiritually, like at least that's my experience with my family. Like last class I mentioned that my father's side, they work in the trade center, and when they hear that I'm like living, okay, I'm not a monk now, but I live like a monk, that's why my channel called Living Monk. It's like just a lifestyle of minimalism and simplicity, so we can save time for spiritual development. And many times every time we visit them, they're like, so when you gonna buy a big house and have kids and a car, and you're selfish. They call me, they perceive me as a selfish person, that I'm like, I'm only concerned with my spiritual life. I'm not concerned with, expanding the circle of like my, of my abundance, helping my community, and yeah, I see a lot of truth to that. How okay, the mystery guest, he raised the hand, so I'll just finish this point, and I think I'm like very excited to see what it is. So yeah, I see some truth in that. So yeah, well, maybe I'll just leave it there, and we'll hear what the mysterious guest has to say. Yes, please. Unmute yourself and reveal yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhu. What's your good name, Prabhu?
Dingleberry Das.
Oh, okay, Dingleberry Prabhu.
You will not be so happy to have this after you listen to it. But anyhow, there's a couple points. I'll be surprised. Here's one thing. I know you guys are too devoted, but there's a TV show that's on right now called God Friended Me. Has anybody seen it in that room?
God Friended Me?
Yeah, that's a really good show.
Sounds interesting. What is it about?
Well, it's too take a bit to explain it, but unfortunately, it's very well appreciated by the critics, but not enough people of the right age are watching it. It's actually had its last episode. But I tell you, I was always moved by it. Practically cried every show. And he's a guy who's getting these God messages on his phone. Says it's from God saying, make this person your friend. And he don't know why, he never met this person, but he meets them and then he helps their life out. But anyhow, my point is, even in that show, in the final one, it's an interesting show because what you're talking about, one of the guys is very unhappy because his father and him have had no relationship since he was a young boy. And it turns out, you find out at the end of the show, his father was in the CIA. And when he actually decided to join the CIA at a higher level, he had to disavow his whole family. He had to literally not even admit to his son that I'm your father, but I'm going to have to go away. And so his son hated him his whole life because he'd like never seen his father. He was just mad at him. He never knew, why'd my dad disappear? anyhow, and it's like you're talking about, Queen Kunti. I mean, there is a relation to this, what you're saying. And I'm saying there are, even in a case like that, the guy has to wonder, well, I'm trying to save the world and the CIA, and, I'm trying to do things for more than just myself. So I'm not going to be selfish and just say, screw the government, I'm going to go back and just be a dad for this kid. He actually took the higher path, and he really, anyhow, does it make any sense to you? Is this coming at all sense to anybody there? Does anybody understand?
Well, what I hear from you, that you sort of connect to the notion that sometimes we need to give up something for a higher purpose. Is that so?
And I'm saying that this whole thing is not just a case of Queen Kunti. Anybody could have. You may, in your life, after you say you become hired by somebody, and your company makes you have to do something which maybe you don't want to do, and it hurts your son, or you don't know what's going to happen in your life. It's like that guy didn't know he was going to go full time in the CIA, and so is that actually it's practical in life that actually we may have to. Any one of us may have to struggle like Kunti, and really wonder what do I got to do? Where's my alliance going to be more, or have I been too much of this? Anyhow, I'm just saying, don't take it as some weird thing for Queen Kunti, but no one else. No, any one of us could have to come up against these kind of things, in our life. It might be surprising. Anyhow, the other thing was, any other things that, in other words, let's see if this relates at all. But I told this to Kim the other day, actually. But when I joined the movement, I had been in college. I dropped out. And I had money that I owed the bank, owed the college, and I was avoiding it because I figured, well, it's those who surrender to the Lord have no more debts to anyone else because they're doing the highest debt to God. And I figured the same way, well, screw the bank. I'm doing the best thing you can do in my life. I'm not going to pay those guys back. And then I got a letter from my father saying, what are you going to do about this? They keep asking me for money. And I was going to say, well, I'm going to do nothing with it. I wrote to my guru, and I asked him. And I was shocked when he said, no, you should pay that back. He didn't even have a question about it. No, we shouldn't pay it back. You're doing a higher thing. No, pay it back. And I'm just, we may all think we're very spiritual in ways, but we may still misjudge how to deal with things that happen in our lives. You know what I mean? Like, Kunti's coming across something now, and, we go, any one of us may have not only pure devotees, but just things that may be a little, we may need help with a guru or somebody else to decide, not just, well, I think, and I'm a pure devotee, I'm going to do this, and, maybe it's wrong, is all I'm saying. So anyhow,
we cannot
a couple of things out there.
Rupa Goswami, he says, if I avoid ordinary dealings, my spiritual life will be hampered. So you had that direct instruction from the guru that from what I hear, you were confused, like why the guru asked me to take care of the ordinary dealings.
Well, it didn't take long. But I was a little surprised, but it wasn't like I was not going to do it or anything like that. But I realized it was my immaturity that I immediately thought, forget those guys, when really, no, I had that duty still to fulfill. I wasn't.
Yes. Yeah, we have so many. Yeah, let's look it.
Yeah.
Huh?
Kitty wanted to share something.
Okay.
Yeah. Debts that I didn't pay off too. But so I'm noticing, had a conversation with my niece yesterday related to this, and she, like, it was almost 2 months ago that she had attempted suicide. And I didn't know anything about it. And she's actually the person that I'm most attached to. Really. My younger brother, I have some attachment for him somehow, or I feel some responsibility for him, but her I feel more protective and because I babysit for thousands of hours, for my nephew. And but I was noticing, now that we're doing this, I was noticing that when she told me that, I read the email how little I was affected by it. And I was kind of wanting to be criticize myself, and I went and I looked at it, and I thought I should call her right away, And so yeah, I chose to be like impersonal and just put it off till tomorrow. There is like an impulse there in me like that though, for sure. But I called her and was able to talk to her and hear about what she was going through and that. And I found that because of that lack of attachment, like I was still compassionate. I still showed her compassion, you know, and because of that lack of attachment, I was more able to be with her in her world, not being so caught up in my own feelings of the situation, that I was able to actually empathize with her and speak with her with like a sober and just really kind of like accept her where she was at, and I think that she appreciated that. And then same with my brother, he's been up and down and out of jail, and I knew he was suicidal for a long time. I knew he was considering it for years. And but I did to him, and then that's because it's just like alone. I'm doing my spiritual life and that, and I probably should have kept more contact with them. That's for sure. That was like a lack of. That's like a, you know, a certain weakness inside of me. But also I can see how, like at times I could stop. I knew that he was suicidal. I knew he was struggling very intensely, and at times I felt like desperately wanting to try to like reach out, try to keep contact with him and give him support that I wasn't really capable of giving. And but I just thought, well, you know, not all the time, but a portion of the time, I thought, well, if he's got to live his life and learn his lessons, you know, for me to try to like desperately try to like save him and treat him like he's a child, to be able to just, that he needs me to like push things.
Yeah, your attachment was misused in a sense with him.
No, I didn't. If anything, I tend to be more towards being numb than over
Numb with
attached.
him.
Yeah.
Okay, because you did mention that you feel more attached to your younger brother rather than your niece, and that's why you were able to help her. But with
No,
him,
I feel more attached to her.
more
I
attached.
also feel quite attached to him, but
Okay,
Her,
yeah,
I
I
feel
thought
there's
something.
because she's a you know, I basically was like more of a father figure to her than anybody, really. So,
But you're less attached to your younger brother.
in a sense, though I keep more contact with my brother. You know, he always reaches out to me, right?
Okay.
So, and I'm because of that, I call him more often than I do my niece. But anyway, I could understand that he was feeling like that, but and I could see how the lack of this over attachment for them has made space for me to focus on my spiritual life and to be more stable in who I am.
The over attachment or
Lack of over attachment.
Lack of over attachment.
Over family attachment, that I'm able to support him, like them, and be there for them in a more solid way. I can be more of service because I'm not so attached to him being my brother that I think that I can tell him the way that he should be, or this is the way that I manifest and notice. Especially I've noticed with him and my family members, because I'm attached with them, then I think that I can control them. They're an extension of me. I think that I can judge them because they're not behaving the way that I think that they should be. And I can like instruct them and try to make them feel bad and all that stuff, right? And I can see how that my lack of attachment, family attachment, has actually helped me be able to serve them more where from they're at, accept them for who they are, that they're their own individual people. And so I can approach them more in a service attitude. And then, so then also because of that, I've been I chose to come here. I chose to go to Vancouver and be around the devotees and focus on my spiritual life rather than go home and try to like
be externally like considerate of your family.
Yeah, like you know, like basically like my friends or whatever, you know, I can sit there and talk dumb things with them and just kind of like, okay, my presence will you know, we'll drown together, right? You know, I'll be here, have a drink, you know, I'll be your buddy, you know. And I could go there and be like them and the way that many of my friends do, you know, just like, okay, we'll just be with each other, we're attached, we're not going to break out and make our own, find out what our own purpose is in life, and you know, we just hang out with the same people and do the same dumb things and for
damage each other.
Yeah, and they think that that's actually helping, you know, but it gets in the way of them actually endeavoring to find what real purpose is in life, and ultimately that would be to connect with Krishna or God, you know. So I can see how that's, especially with this recently with my brother and my niece, I can observe the purification of that family attachment, and how I can sense that purity, that lack of that knot, at least that aspect of that knot that is gone because of these, both because of my endeavor on spiritual path and also because of the struggles and my own depressions and feeling the lack of capacity to be able to support them. It was painful. So I just naturally kind of like stayed away from them because I couldn't, they were too messed up and I didn't know how to help them. So it was just a source of pain. So I just didn't speak to them really. So like it's saying here about therefore, sometimes experience of the Lord out of his special affinity toward the weak devotee, like myself, breaks the family affection by force of circumstances arranged by his all-powerful energy. By doing so, he caused the devotee to become completely dependent on him, and thus clears the path for his going back to Godhead. Yeah, because I was kind of lightly considering killing myself before coming here. Not really made any plans or anything like that, but I was just kind of really tired of floundering in life. So
What is floundering?
like a fish flounders on the shore when it's out of the water.
That's how you know. That's how you know.
Yeah, well, I still kind of feel like that, but I mean, at least I know here, if I just, the opportunity is around me every day. Definitely doing a lot better than I would be if I was in Nova Scotia around my family playing video games, eating junk food, and, you know, watching porn, right? You know, so yeah.
You're really in the bottom of your experience. You're thinking about ending your life, and you knew that going back to your parents can be worse. Yeah, is it what I'm getting?
Well, there would be no support. Like I had kind of planned before when I was coming here. This is like this thoughts that kept coming through my head that if things didn't work out and I didn't get over the hump and start feeling like my life kicking into gear when I come here, that's what I was just thinking about, just going to kill myself. So I mean, I don't feel like that now, but
you lost hope. You lost hope that it will get any better or improve.
I was pretty part of me, yeah. I mean, part of me didn't, because obviously I wouldn't even come here if I didn't have any hope for progress, but there's definitely, it was over the last while, this frustrated, floundering, desperate mentality has been getting smaller and smaller in my consciousness, but it's also been getting like denser and hotter, like, so I'm clearing it up, but it's also, it's getting smaller, but it has been getting, like I said, denser and hotter and more painful, more kind of like, I've been more just like frantic just to get it, clear it up out of my consciousness. So, but yeah, so that's what I'm relating it to this, the frustrations with my family connections and all that, and how it's draining me. And then how it's, because I'm connecting with the spiritual teachings and saintly people and practices, that I'm becoming purified of that family affection, that the what did you say? Bound, being bound by the ties of family affection, So, yeah.
So you find more hope in spiritual life now?
Well, at least I'm not. I'm noticing some purification there that has happened. Like, yeah, not just the struggle of it, but actually that I can look and see where inside of me, where is more pure of the lack of those ties. And I'm still not really feeling super excited about my spiritual life.
But you feel, what I'm getting from you, that you feel more hopeful in spiritual environments rather than with your family, right? You feel more hopeful to leave, right? Because if you're going to leave without doing anything, going through some advancing spiritually or purifying, you, in a sense, you had your last chance and you're gonna commit suicide, right? It's really frustrating, exhausting already. You tried so many things, and even this thing, it's not gonna work. But now you do perceive that it's working because it gives you hope. Is that what I'm getting from you?
Yeah, there's some more hope there,
Mm-hmm.
but then still didn't have that major transformation of my consciousness that I was hoping for.
What gives you hope now when you're on this path? What keeps you alive? Like, that's what I'm getting from you. You feel you're not really alive, but you feel that you inspired to stick to living because you experienced something here in the spiritual environment. Would you like to
Yeah,
share?
well, at least I getting some glimpses of some positive experience, and also I can see how these negativity is diminishing. So haven't really been feeling too much like actual devotion, but I did have an interesting realization day before yesterday with because I was thinking about Radhanath Swami and Bhakti Tirtha Swami, how I have absolute faith in them. Nobody or no situation will undermine my faith in them. That's not possible. But then I was thinking about Prabhupada and trying to, because I had this vision of that I see Radhanath Swami and Bhakti Tirtha Swami as the black and golden feet of God, of Krishna, Radharani, right? Because Radhanath Swami is very golden colored and Bhakti Tirtha Swami is black. And I've been wondering, I really feel that, they're the foundation for which I'm approaching spiritual life and Prabhupada's teachings. they're the main things that really help me decipher the teachings, right? And but I was wondering how that, but I realized that I hadn't really made a solid connection with Prabhupada yet, and I was wondering how I could how that would fit in, you know, because he's kind of like really. But anyway, so I don't the way that I can't. It's kind of like inconceivable in a sense. That's what I.
Your relationship with these three figures.
Yeah, like because I don't know. Okay, so does that mean that Prabhupada's like in Krishna's knees or what? Like, but so I'm trying to conceive of what that connection is. But the thing is that the connection that I did make was that I do have. I do have. I can't remember the specific term, but I do have unshakable faith in Prabhupada. Like I don't. When I thought of it, you know, I never doubted him. I never questioned or doubted any of his teachings or any of his classes. I had nobody is saying nobody will undermine my faith in Prabhupada. Nobody ever, you know, that won't happen. Nobody in this world can do that. You know, so I was connecting. Okay, yeah, I have it for Radha Swami and Bhakti Tirtha Swami, and I also have it for Prabhupada. But it's just because I haven't really like listened to that as many of his classes or studied or read as many of his books and like endeavored to create a personal emotional connection with him. Like my emotional connection with Bhakti Tirtha Swami, Radha Swami is stronger than with Prabhupada because I've had more contact with them. But as far as the unshakable faith, that is the same. I have that with Prabhupada, and it's just the emotional personal connection is something that I have to develop. You know what I mean?
And that's the hope you see here, perhaps in the Sangha, some possibility for you to connect with Prabhupada stronger. Or
well, I had a dream about a month ago. I was in some home, and there was a picture of Prabhupada on the ground. And I was supposed to, I just understood that I was supposed to pick it up and put it on the wall.
Okay.
And then Dear Govinda was there.
Oh, wow.
He picked up the picture and he was about to head out. Yeah.
You saw Dear Govinda in your dream picking up the picture of Prabhupada and putting on the wall.
No, he was going to head out the door.
Okay.
But it was just basically that I understood that that's my main. Though my mind is still caught up in distractions with other things
Maybe
too much,
too.
but that's like the main one of the main reason why I'm here is that it's supposed to help me connect to Prabhupada.
Put Prabhupada back on the frame of your heart or something like that.
Yeah, well, it's like he's doing his thing. He's doing his service, whether he'll continue doing that, whether he'll pick up the picture and go out the door and continue on with his life. So it's just he's doing his thing whether I'm here or not, you know. So it's just what I took from that it's up to me to reach out and pick that picture up and put it up, you know. And take it from his hand and do it. Yeah.
Thank you, Bhakti Keith, for sharing how what I experienced in your sharing, that you almost lost your life and now you're finding that again in your process of reestablishing your connection with your spiritual masters, with Prabhupada, and the devotees, and it literally gives you hope to continue living.
The opportunity is there.
Yeah, I find it I think Prabhupada, next Prabhupada is very happy that you're here and you're coming closer to the Parampara. Hare Krishna.
I have one question. Just your name is Keith. Is your name Keith?
Keith, yes.
Yes. Some people come.
Have you actually taken some of the seminars with Dear Govinda yet?
Yeah, I took the foundational twice and the advanced twice, and I
Oh,
took
great.
the PPTC the first 2 semesters of it.
Oh, great. Do you know that Bhakti Tirtha Swami was very much into these seminars? And all he would give them himself, the whole, with the signs in front and triple. He did it the same way, Do you know that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard some lectures where he was talking in similar ways, and
Exactly.
because of reading his spiritual warrior books, that's how
Right.
I was able to recognize the value of what Dear Govinda was
Exactly.
talked about these things, and different, maybe uses different words, but he talked about these things.
Right.
In 2002, I co-facilitated a leadership workshop with Bhakti Tirtha Swami in Detroit. So, and he would send me like his spiritual warrior books. He would send me manuscripts for comments and editing.
Oh yeah.
So we had a some cooperative service relationship in different capacity.
Nice.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I was telling him. I could tell, that's how I could recognize when I read your book that this was, I mean, philosophically, I can see how this is connected to Bhagavad Gita and stuff, but I had firm faith in Bhakti Tirtha Swami, and I could just understand that it was the same thing.
Same, I totally aligned, yeah. It was another thing that was very early in the year 2000. I conducted a 3-day foundational seminar. It was an early version of this. It was kind of like the version that Daru took. Daru first took the courses in 2002 or so. That was in
3 maybe, whatever.
It's in 2003, but you took an early version of the foundational at the community center.
You're right. At the farm.
And Daru has staff many courses and things like that. And so early in 2000, and in this course, it was like 50, and there was lots of ISKCON sannyasis, GBC, gurus, people like Malati, Yamuna, Vishaka. So a lot of ISKCON leaders and influential people.
Mm.
Okay, then it was the morning after the course. I think that was also the same day that the GBC meetings were about to start, and I was there, in addition for the courses for child protection services. So I was chanting japa in ISKCON Mayapur temple room, pacing back and forth. And then in the corner, there's these white mats where a lot of the sannyasis were sitting. So I'm pacing around, and then Radhanath Swami, he catches my eye. And he goes, "Dear Govinda, come here. So Radhanath Swami just arrived in Mayapur. He wasn't in the course. And so this Maharaj, Hare Krishna. So Radhanath Swami said, "I've heard the most amazing thing about your course. I've heard the most amazing things." Because he had heard from a lot of his buddies about their experience in the seminar. So I said, "Oh, I'm so encouraged. That's so inspiring to hear that they got important value." And then he said, "And what's even more amazing is who I'm hearing it from." And he named some names because, like within the yeah, because within the organization, there's some who are seen as kind of like the liberal, like Bhakti Tirtha Swami and like that. And there are some who are seen as more conservative, stuck in the mud like that.
Staunch.
Yeah, exactly. And then so he said, "What's even more amazing is who I'm hearing it from." And he mentioned names who were like some of the most conservative, stuck in the mud type of sannyasis. And they were just like effusive, and they were in tears to share with Radhanath Swami what happened for them during the course.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I wanted to ask you, dear Govinda. Did he ever take a course with you, Radhakrishna Swami?
Radhanath Swami?
Radhanath Swami, sorry, Radhanath Swami.
Radhanath Swami, he participated in some shorter workshops, like in New Vrindavan, year 2000. So this was one of the very first foundational. In year 2000, he came like for the first 3 hours, and then he had other responsibilities. And so he was there like for the first 3 hours of the course, and then he needed to leave, and he gave me all encouragement. He was very inspired by what he saw. He encouraged everyone there at Newburgh to participate.
Mm.
Yeah, well, same. He was also into these things when he was outside of ISKCON, and he started the temple in Chilpati and started doing the mentorship and devotee care, and so.
Yeah, in 2002, Rannath Swami invited me to Chilpati. He wasn't at the course, but it was also Mother Malini was at that one, and we conducted like it was 2-3 hour workshops. 3 or 4 hour workshops, and there was like 150 in the course, and you could tell these were highly skilled people. They had just been very, very sophisticated. They had a very deep sense. So I did conduct transformative communication at Chilpati. Yeah. I mentioned back to the 2000 course. So one of the Sakhan sannyasis who participated was Trivikram Swami, who then in recent years, 10 years, 15 years, he opened a center in Orlando.
I met him last time I came down here. Yeah.
You know, yeah, okay. So Trivikram Swami was in that course, and he had such a transformation in February of 2000. And then in 2016, I'm just sitting, and I get a phone call, and it's Trivikram Swami. I had no contact with him for 16 years. He said, Trivikram Swami from Orlando. I'm happy to hear from you. So my son was a brahmachari at the time, based in the Krishna Center in Gainesville, and they had passed to Orlando, and he really liked my son, I'll be mind you, and then he said, and then it reminded him of the course, and then so Trivikram Swami, we actually talked about the course, and then he invited me to come and give the Sunday feast lecture in Orlando, and we scheduled a weekend that worked. And I remember we went down, it was several of us, we had about 8 of us, Ladini Shakti, Yogeshwar was in at that time. So we had about 8 of us from our Sakhatora Bhakti Yoga community. We went down to Orlando for the Sunday Feast program. And we arrived like half an hour early, and Trivikram Swami was there. So we had an affectionate greeting. And then Trivikram Swami, he was telling me, he goes, yes, I took this course, this counseling course with Dear Govinda back 16 years ago. And he goes, and he said, and he said, and you wouldn't believe what he made us do. And then, and I said, again, they've all been through the program, so you can talk about it. You wouldn't believe what you're going to make us do. Yeah. And he actually, he remembered in details the processes.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, so very important communication, and like in his book he said about the quality of your life is the quality of your communication. So and definitely it was my experience that learning how to listen when I was staying in the ISKCON temples, especially with people in positions of influence, and that is definitely a quality that would very much so enhance the experience of communities and their capacity to support sincere seekers on a spiritual path, and how the lack of these things is actually causes quite the opposite, you know, where people don't feel like they have a voice and they don't feel like they can add to the community, and just end up being oppressed or whatever, right? So yeah, so it's very encouraging to know that Dear Govinda, or people like Dear Govinda, Rannath Swami, and I can't remember, there's a couple other, Niranjan Swami, I can't remember, but there's a few communities. Well, I mean, he did seminars in many different communities, so it's encouraging to know that they're making a push to see how valuable these things are. Yeah.
Just quick, are you planning to move on? Are you sticking around for a while? I don't know.
I want to stay here till I'm supposed to leave the